Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
So welcome back to the show. And I'm so excited about, this is our second episode with Coffee Chat with Tara and Julie, which is our, what do you call it? Collaboration, I guess, or our fun, I don't have the words for it, but welcome back. And you have Tara and I here with you today, talking to you about all things summits.
Yeah, I feel like this is the perfect time for this too, because we are both hosting summits this month in April.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and as this episode is airing, your summit is actually happening right now. So we'll talk about it at the end. Cool.
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about it now? Should we talk about it at the beginning? Yeah, let's talk about it at the end, at the beginning, and then we'll finish with my summit.
Okay, sure. So yeah, right now, the third annual Introvertpreneur virtual summit is open for enrollment. Like this summit is geared towards introverted service providers, coaches, course creators, or really anyone who doesn't enjoy maybe the more extroverted social media marketing methods and want to build a business that feels sustainable and fun for them. So we have over 40 experts talking about everything from sales funnels, selling on autopilot, mindset issues, because they're always big for all entrepreneurs, but especially us introverts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a really fun and amazing event. And it's definitely, I think, for the introvert audience and me as the host, it's very introvert friendly. This year, we're not doing any live sessions. It's all completely, you watch at your own pace each day. You choose what you want to watch and dig into. And then we also, of course, have the Facebook group for you to connect and engage with other introverted business owners and the speakers.
I love it. Even as an extrovert, it's an amazing summit because whatever you produce is always top notch. So I encourage everybody to sign up for the Introvertpreneurship. What did you call it?
Introvertpreneur.
Introvertpreneur summits. And you have to sign up for it. It's free and it's awesome. So, well, that leads us to our conversation. And I'm excited to talk about summits because this is my second summit and I cannot wait to start my third summit. I really, really enjoyed creating my first summit and I couldn't wait to create the second. And I'm guessing as an introvert, it's the same for you because you've done like you've hosted, like this is your third one now. And I know you've done other events. So
yeah, I've done eight events, 8 summits.
Wow. I know you even did a live event, which was amazing. And so like, kudos to you. But so here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, you can have success hosting a summit, right?
Mm-hmm. And I love that about summits is that there's so many ways to make them work. So if you are more introverted or you are more extroverted, you can create the schedule and the content and the engagement around how you work best and what's going to work best for your audience. I love that they're so customizable. Like every summit I see is slightly different and they're very similar in terms of like the format, what you can expect, but there's always something new and different.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it is that you can put your own touch on it, right? When you're preparing, creating and all the stuff. So, for the listeners, and I know like summits and bundles have been going around like a lot right now. And so I know that most people probably know what a summit is, but maybe we can just go over quickly what is a summit, just so in case there's listeners that are not really clear, because I may be some new people. Like, I mean, the first time I heard summit, right? Like I didn't know quite what a summit was.
Yeah, I know. Even when I have been searching for domains using GoDaddy auctions, it's like you search for the word summit in a domain and it fills up the list with summits that include the name peak, mountain, and all these other words. I'm like, you don't understand what I'm searching for. Yeah, so in my mind, I think that of summits as like curated online events where you can connect with like-minded people for a short period of time. And I think the online aspect as a whole is just super incredible for introverts. We can like connect without having to go to in-person events, which I'm trying to do more of this year, in-person events, but sometimes we just want to sit in our pajamas, sit in our pajamas and connect with experts.
Yeah. I mean, like I love being home in my pajamas, but there's that extra something special about connecting in person, right? But I definitely love where this has brought us today, because we can reach an audience that is international. And that is so cool, right? Because you build relationships with all of these new entrepreneurs, whether you're participating in a summit, hosting a summit, or even just attending a summit, right? Like you can create that bond with people from all over the world. And like, you can't do that at a networking event. Like, yes, okay, maybe there are some people that are coming from all over the world, but well, not only does it cost me, but it also costs you time. And, especially if you have to travel to a different city to do it and all the things, right? Like, whereas participating in an online summit, it's virtual. You do it on your own timeline. There's no schedule and you show up dressed. You don't even have to show your face.
Yeah. And I love that. I think summits are so amazing for hosts, for speakers, and for attendees. So that's why I love them so much. It's like a win-win-win.
It is, especially like, I think like your listeners and my listeners, I think a majority of them are moms and wives and, we're busy with like, mummering, mummying. Some of us have pets. Some of us have, we just have busy lives now. And so it's great that you're able to tune in whenever you have those pockets of time in your schedule, or you can listen to an episode while, maybe your child is napping, or maybe you have to do dishes, or maybe you have to run a grocery store, or whatever that thing is that you're doing, going for a walk, and you can bring the with you, Yeah,
I think that's one of my favorite things about it is that how easy they are to attend. Like, I sign up for every summit. I think that comes across my inbox if it's even a little interesting, because I'm one of those people who just loves learning. And I love seeing how people curate these events, like all the people you can learn from in one room. Like, you wouldn't be able to, even at a in-person conference, like attend 40 sessions in a 2 or 3 day conference. It's not possible.
They're usually not that long either. Like usually an event, a live event is like, I've been to a few where they were 2 days, and you can only have so many speakers in that period of time, right? Like you can only have whatever, 2, 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the afternoon. And then by then you're tired, like you want to go home or do whatever, right? So, and you have to plan around it, right? Like you have to, if you need childcare, or if you need a ride, or whatever the case might be. So doing the virtual summit is definitely really cool. Why do we want to host a summit? Why do we want to host a summit, Tara?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love your thoughts around, like, why did you decide to host your first one? Because yours was amazing. I think like for your first one, I was like blown away. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around that first, because my first one was several years ago, so I have to think back to that.
You have to think back. Okay, so while you think, I'll talk. So the thing is that I knew what my problem was. So my issue was growing my email list. I was selling my things, selling my program and selling my templates to the same audience over and over and over again. And I've tried, but not succeeded very well at growing my list organically. Like I suck at it. So I'm like, how can I grow my list? I know what my problem is. What can I do to grow my list to like exponentially? Like, what can I do? Right. So that I have new people into my world. And then, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, that's kind of what happened. So I knew what my problem was. And I joined a summit. Like I saw this summit and I joined it and I listened to, I think 2 or 3 episodes of the whole summit. And then the one person I listened to is a lead generation expert. And I booked a call with her and I hired her to help me host my first summit. And so that's what happened. And I didn't even budge. I was like, yes, I want to fix my problem. I'm in. Let's do it. I planned my summit within just shy of 3 months. I don't recommend that, especially not if you're doing it. And we'll talk about this, but there are different ways that you can, create, like not create, but there's different ways that you can have it laid out, if you will. And I interviewed every speaker. And so that's how I did mine. And so I had 40 speakers and I had to do 40 interviews in the span of like 3-4 weeks. And that is not advisable.
Oh, yeah. 40 hours of interviews for me would just I would be burnout for months after that.
But you kind of do other things like in your business that makes you like Superwoman. Like you're really good at other things.
I try. Yeah. I know that that's not my strong suit. So I have to show up in other ways.
But you've been successful at your summits too. And you did it your way, which is super cool. So the way I hosted my summit and put it together was then that every interview were pre-recorded with the speaker and it was interview style. Some speakers had slides, but we still did it together. And so that's how I did mine. Tara, you want to share how you put yours together?
Yeah. So mine has always been more of a hands-off approach because I am an introvert. I did not, and I do interviews for my podcast. So I was like, already I'm like burnout with interviews. Mm-hmm. So for my summits, actually for all of them, it's always been, pre-recorded presentations that the speaker does and then submits. We download it, we process it, and then the attendees can just watch them all at their leisure during the 3 or 5 day summit event. Like you mentioned at the beginning, I did do one in December that was entirely live, which I wanted to do it just to say I've done it, but I knew it was going to be exhausting. But I also
that was totally outside of your comfort zone. I was like, "You're doing what, Tara?" But it was amazing. It was amazing, and also, FYI, you have it now, right? Like we can purchase the summit in entirety. And it was amazing. Like it was Funnel Fest, everything about funnels. And so, let's include the link for that in the show notes. It's available, right? Like all the time.
Yes.
Like now,
finally turned it evergreen because I was like, this content is too good to not promote, because I know with it, like, I think, we did it the first week of December. So people were coming off of like Black Friday and all the promotions and like overwhelmed. So it probably wasn't the good time for people to show up live for 4 days. But the content, I mean, it just flowed so well. I mean, the people that did attend live got so much out of it. And I got so much good feedback from the speakers. And I think the one that stood out to me was one of the speakers who also attended the entire 4 days, sent me an email after it was over and was like, I know sometimes there's some speakers that end up doing a presentation that's maybe a little bit fluffy, or is just a pitch. And this event was so amazing and raw. She's like, I've been in marketing for 15 years and I learned new things at this
Amazing.
event. Like that was, so that's where I knew I was like, okay, yeah, I need to turn this evergreen because,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of energy on my part too. Like it was very energy draining. So I'm like, I can't
Well,
just,
you know what? You did such a good job at putting it together, and you had co-hosts, and
Mhm.
I co-hosted a day. I would co-host with you any other day, at any other event you need a co-host. I'm there. It was just such a great experience also for me as a co-host. Like you did such a wonderful job putting it together. So kudos to you. So let's
Yeah,
put that in the show
that's
notes.
that's a good tip there for anyone who is an introvert and wants to do like live panels or an entirely live event. You can start like your first one, maybe just doing live panels. But if you're worried or anxious about it, have a co-host. Offer to have somebody join you that you know that you're comfortable with that can help you like maneuver that panel. And so it's not all on you where you're like letting people into the Zoom room, trying to manage the questions, manage the speakers, making sure everyone gets their chance to answer questions and share their thoughts. So yeah, having a co-host, definitely best decision I made.
And so much fun. It's so much more fun because then you're having that, like, it's like a broadcast at a hockey game or like a football game, you know, like it's not just one person talking by themselves, usually two or three, you know, hosts like talking to you about what's going on, what's happening. And that's kind of what it was. It was so cool.
Yeah, especially during the having it entirely live. I was like, when there's a gap where one speaker is done and then we're waiting for the next speaker's time to start, it's like, if it's just me, it would be so, I feel that's the most awkward point for me doing live things. It's like that gap where I'm like, what do I fill this time with? How do I? So having a co-host, it was super fun and kept more casual.
No, honestly, it was amazing. And I guess that's another way you can host a summit, right? Like you called it an event, but it was a summit, but it was live instead of pre-recorded, right?
Yeah.
So I guess how do we decide if we want to host a summit or not? I think you got to go with your gut and your intuition. Like I'm really the kind of person that, you know what, the universe sent me this idea. I'm going to run with it. Now, do I always do this? Not always. Sometimes I park it, you know, but that time I listened and I was like, okay, you're sending me this idea. You sent me the person to help me. I'm in. And so that's how I decided. I'm a generator and I'm a sacral generator. And like my gut and my intuition are my go-to whenever I need to make a decision. And I usually don't need time to think about it. I was like, I'm in, sign me up. So that's why, because I knew that this would help fix the problem in my business of growing my audience. And my first summit, I mean, there obviously didn't all stay on my list, but almost 1,900 people registered for my first summit. So, I mean, that alone is a good reason to host a summit, right?
That's amazing for your first summit. And I think when it comes to summits, one thing I've really learned now is like, even no matter how well your first one does, additional summits, because we don't want to just do it once. We want to do it multiple times. Maybe
it's like a tattoo. You get one and then you get addicted.
Like maybe it's just once a year. Maybe then you grow it to 2 times per year, whatever. But we want to do more of them instead of just one time, because
especially if you have fun.
Yeah, because the first one is going to be the hardest. It's going to be the hardest because you have to create everything from scratch. The second one is going to be so much easier because you're going to refine your systems and know what, like you're going to fix some maybe mistakes that you made in the first one. So it's always going to be a learning lesson. Like I'm still, there's little things that I'm still like, okay, you know, the 7th event, like we did this, it didn't really work. So let's think about other ways that we can do something similar that maybe will work better. Like but in terms of creating like the affiliate stuff, the speaker stuff, like the swipe copy, the graphics, like all of that, you can reuse that and just tweak them.
Rinse and repeat.
Yes, make it so much easier on the 2nd or 3rd or 4th, however.
So you're hosting it the first time and it's a lot of work, right, Tara? Like, we're not going to lie. It's a lot of work, and it can be, if you don't manage your time properly, it can be very stressful. Like, I had some very stressful, a couple of weeks where I was getting headaches and heartburn because I was so, I had to create all this copy and these website pages and finish interviews. And, I was very overwhelmed. And, that's why I say, don't host a summit in under 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I actually recommend like I started for this one, I started inviting speakers in December. Like, I'm so ahead, and I think I could even be more ahead. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think like 6 months, it's not unrealistic to plan a summit, right, Tara?
We interrupt this episode to share with you something really exciting. Are you a solopreneur looking for the ultimate roadmap with all the pieces that you need to successfully scale a profitable business? One that will give you the freedom and abundant lifestyle that you deserve? Then register today for the free Build Your Beautiful Business Online Summit. This is the only summit of its kind that brings you over 35 experts that will inspire you to get unstuck and gain the confidence that you need to finally build the business you've always dreamed about. This summit is filled with so many actionable strategies that will take you from feeling overwhelmed and stuck to becoming proud and confident and authentically showing up as yourself and sharing your amazing gifts with the world. No more spending all that time downloading all those free PDFs just trying to piecemeal your business together and getting nowhere. By the end of this event, you're going to be able to take exactly what you've learned from each one of these amazing experts and create your own customized plan to build your beautiful dream business, one that is abundantly profitable and also works on autopilot for you. And yes, it's 100% free. So register now for free at www.beautifulbusinesssummit.com or click on the link in the show notes of this podcast episode.
Right, Tara?
Yeah, I'm lucky that my first one, first of all, I signed up for Summit in a Box with Krista Miller because I knew that I wanted I didn't want to do this all on my own. I was like, this is going to be a big project. I need to make it as easy as possible. So I signed up for Summit in a Box, and then I planned it out, my first one, where I think it was 6 months. For the first one. So I had lots of time. I even found that it was too much time. I was a little bored because
I think especially for you because your people send you pre-recorded trainings. So you eliminate that time, right? Like me, I have to tack on 40 hours of interviews.
Yeah.
Right. That I'm doing face to face.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
So if you're thinking you're going to host a summit, to consider those two things, right? Like, are you going to, or if you're doing it live, so that can, affect your decision on time frame.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I know for the first one, when I had the 6 months, it was I got to a point where I'm like, okay, there's nothing else I can do until speakers submit their presentation. So it's
like a wedding, in the middle, there's nothing to do. But Tara,
I had a month where I was just sitting there okay, I want to continue working on this, but I can't until I know that they're confirmed. They've submitted their presentations. So
I know. And there's resources out there. You mentioned Summit in a Box. And when it was time for me to write my copy, I was like, oh, there's got to be an easier way. And so I Googled and I found Summit in a Box's promotional material toolkit, whatever it was called. I forget now, but it was such an amazing resource. It had the swipe copy, it had the promo graphics, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed because I hired someone to help me, right? So I had a summit mentor, I call her. She was amazing. We had one-on-one calls every week, and she guided me and helped me through the whole process. And so it was an incredible experience. And now that I've gone through it, and like you were saying, we can rinse and repeat. Now I'm just finessing everything, right? And so it's really, really cool. But let's talk about piecing together. What does it look like on a time frame of what goes into putting a summit together? Because it's a big task, right?
Yeah, I know for me, I'm big on planning. I like to have each step very small steps mapped out, or I'm going to forget to do something. So I think for me, I look at it as like phase one is like the planning stage. This is also where you're going to be like pitching speakers, or you're going to have an application form, and you're going to just decide on who the speakers are going to be. And the next step is like the content creation, the marketing, like getting all that set up so that it's in place. And then I feel like step 3 is actually implementing it. Like the summit is now
like production phase.
It's now open for people to sign up. You have everything in place. Now you're just gonna implement everything you planned in the previous phase.
And so and before we did all that, we came up with a topic. Right. We came up with a topic and a tagline, and that's all you really need. Right. Like a bit of a brief description on what where you're going with your summit. And then you can start inviting people. And that's so much fun, because then, you see who applies and who wants to help you put this event together, because it's a collaboration, really. And it's so cool that you get to meet all of these amazing new people and get to know people who you never knew before. Like that's the best part, right?
I love that part of it, because it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of similar in the way of having our own podcast. It's like when you bring a guest on and interview them, it's like, hi, I feel like I know you because we've kind of been in the same orbit. Maybe we're friends on Facebook or something, but we've never actually connected face to face. And it just kind of solidifies those relationships and future collaborations too.
Before we were recording this, I had a guest interview for the podcast with an amazing woman. And I didn't even know about her until last week. We met at a sort of like a smallish networking thing that I was part of. And she messaged me and she's like, can I be a guest on your podcast? And I'm like, yeah. And so I only met her last week, and we already connected yesterday or today. And it was so awesome. Like, it was like, this is my favorite part about, creating and these relationships when you're hosting an event like a summit or a live event or a conference, whatever it is,
I love that. Yeah. I know a lot of people tend to focus too. Like, I think one big driver of a summit, and it shouldn't be the main thing, but summits do make you money too. These are great
let's
events.
talk about the money.
let's dig into the money.
Because it is like, we get compensated, I mean, nobody can really, my God, I'm like, I lost with some words today.
It's a Monday when we're recording this.
Predict, right? You can't predict how many people are going to sign up for your summit. No matter the list size of your speakers, you cannot predict how many tickets you're going to sell. But I think that there's an opportunity for us to learn from each event moving forward, and how to make it better and easier for people to purchase that VIP ticket. So in hosting our summits, for myself, I had the option of having a VIP pass level A, if you want it. I call it gold. And that includes lifetime access to the recordings, the interviews, a workbook, and there was a third thing. What is it now? Wow, I'm drawing a blank. It's the afternoon when we're recording this. Can you tell? and then I'll think of it now. But then my VIP, my rose gold VIP, which is $97, includes everything in the kitchen sink. Like, it includes the lifetime access. It includes a private podcast feed. It includes the workbook, and then it includes also all of the speakers, or most of them, include these amazing like mini trainings and such things that usually values between $5,000 and $10,000. And so you have access to that as well. So that is the kind of money that you can make. And people are generous. Like, the speakers are generous with their content and their offers that they want to contribute in order to help boost sales for your summit, so that it can kind of compensate for your time of hosting this event. And also, let's be honest, we want to make a bit of a profit. We don't always, right? Like, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's just that thing you can't really estimate or predict. right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like I know the December event was so amazing, but with the timing,
Mm-hmm.
a co-host, I don't think I made very much money. But that event was so amazing. I had several people who attended live, like fell in love with that event. Like these were the ones that stayed on the entire time, every single
Mm-hmm.
day, that signed up for my high ticket program.
There you
Um,
go. So
so yeah, if I was just to look at the event sales, that's, I mean, sometimes, yeah, you do make a good profit, but sometimes not. But then it's looking at the big picture, like
mhm,
looking at your event, even not just as revenue, but also as a lead generation tool. Like the people
exactly.
that signed up for your event, do they go on to purchase something else? Um, yeah, I mean, I mean, we do want to be compensated for our time. So
Yes. And
let me,
it is a big endeavor. And you know what? Like, I think also after the fact, like after you've hosted your first summit or event or whatever, like it's so rewarding, right? Like you might choose to never do it again because like what it was so out of your wheelhouse and it's not in alignment. And that's okay too, but you should be proud of yourself anyway, because you did it or you're going to do it. Right. But I was like coming off of a high after the summit. I was like, this is not fun. I'm like super sad now because I'm like, it's done and I don't want it to be done. I'm like, I could have kept on going for days, but I was high the whole time and then it was done. It was over. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I even found a meme. It was this little girl sitting on a sidewalk and it was like, the day after your summit's over or something like that.
It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, definitely like we can make money. And then also you can have sponsors. So if you have sponsors, sponsorships available for your event, and then you get the sponsors, then that's also revenue, a source of revenue going into your summit. But like you said it, right? Like you don't know what these people are they're like first of all, a majority of them are going to stay on your email list and fall in love with you, and then potentially move on to purchasing from you some of your other offers and your low ticket offers, your bigger ticket offers, or coaching with you, whatever that might be, right? But they get to know you at the event, and then, they choose to like, stay in your world or not. And that's okay too, because they might not be your ideal buyer anyway. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to measure because you don't know. That summit could bring in whatever, like, five, 10, $20,000 after, and then you have expenses, right? We all have summit expenses. But then maybe two of those clients are going to be your $10,000 clients. So
Mhm.
really, how much did the summit bring in, right? And it's super cool too, because your list grows and then you nurture them. And then I have to say a majority is like a good percentage of them stay on your list.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the big part too is like if somebody signs up for the summit, and the way I like to look at it in terms of like using it as a lead generation driver for like nurturing the people who are really excited about the summit, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're spending, even if there's no live components, you're still emailing them every day about the summit. You're still maybe emailing them twice a day for the summit when it's happening. So you're being top of mind, you're engaging, you're nurturing, they're getting more familiar with you. And they're probably getting whatever you included in the summit, watching your presentation if you do your own presentation as a speaker yourself, and
Which you should.
compare. Yes. And then, but you compare that. So they're spending maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days with you. Like, I don't want to say like right in their face, but you basically are, you're on top of mind, versus hosting a free webinar where you spend an hour with them. I mean, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge difference between how hosting a summit can nurture an audience versus a free webinar. That's a 1 hour thing.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. Yeah. What else can we say? I want to point out that, like, not point out, but I want to sort of like pre-announce Tara and I are working on a project, or will be working on a project at the time of this recording, but we're actually going to have I'm not going to spill the beans, but we're going to have some type of a class, a master class training on how to create your own summit. So stay tuned for that. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. I think it's amazing. I want more summits. I know people are saying like, oh, there's so many happening now, but I'm excited about that. I love attending summits. I think they're so amazing. And I love that so many more people are interested in hosting their own, because it's so rewarding. And I personally think it's a good idea to maybe be a speaker in a couple summits first. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Just to see how everything's run as a speaker, to see how the host kind of communicates with you. And it'll give you ideas on how to make sure that the process is smooth for your speakers too, when you do decide to create a summit.
Exactly. And I think too, you could even do guest podcasting, like be a guest on a podcast before the event, right? Before you jump into attending or being a presenter at a summit. You could also be a guest on a couple of podcast episodes to get you kind of used to that whole like working with someone vibe. And I think that that's a stepping stone to being a presenter in a summit. Like your summit was the first time I was presenting in a summit.
Really?
Yeah. And now
That's
2
awesome.
summits later, an event and everything. And yeah. And look at us now.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
I think it was, and there's some great Facebook groups that you can look for speakers. And that's how I found you. I'm like, I saw your post and then I filled out the form and you said yes. And here we are. The rest is history.
Mm-hmm. And that's just something that you were talking about earlier about the connections and the collaboration with not just the attendees, but also the speakers. Like, yeah, we've connected and we're doing all these amazing things together, like this joint podcast episodes and the upcoming workshop secret.
I know
happening and
top secret, which we'll be announcing soon enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's top secret now because we're recording this like really early. It's like February 27th when we're recording this, but in a month from now, maybe the beans will be out of the bag or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we both like to work ahead and batch stuff.
Yes, I know. We'll probably plan our next podcast episode recording after this. Well, that was good. I think, was there anything you wanted to add to that? I guess I could also talk about my summit.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about your summit because I think it's amazing.
Okay.
The first one was incredible and I can't wait for the second one.
Awesome. And so it's funny because with Tara and I, Tara's amazing strategist, and I hired her to do a business strategy for me. And when we were talking, I said to her, I want you to be on my summit. And she said, I want you to be on mine. And because, we're cool like that. And then we had booked the same dates and we're like, oh no.
I'm glad we discovered that when we did before we both started pitching.
Right? I know. And so Tara, you were kind enough to change the dates for yours. And so here we are promoting. This episode is airing during the spank in the middle of your summit. And then mine is at the end of the month. So it's April 24th to 27. It's called Build Your Beautiful Business Online Summit. It's the second round. I'm so excited. And basically it's a summit to help you build and grow your business. And I have such incredible experts that are going to come to the table and help you discover the pieces your plan is missing to build and grow your dream business with simplicity and ease. I think simplicity is a huge theme. But I've already interviewed a dozen speakers and a lot of talk about, authenticity and creating authority online and showing up in our in ways that feels aligned with us. Audio summits, like I have such great speakers and more to come that I need to interview still. But the caliber of speakers is out of this world. It's like 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And you create such I feel like you're the speakers that you select. It's like, it feels a lot like you've curated a community in the Facebook group during the summit. It feels like really welcoming and really engaging. Whereas I don't think all summits have that kind of environment necessarily. And I mean, I love that maybe it's just because of my personality too. Like I love the friendly, welcoming kind of,
the like camaraderie.
Now I've lost the word.
Camaraderie. Is that camaraderie? How do you say it, Tara?
I have no idea. Camaraderie? No.
Camaraderie?
Camaraderie. I think.
Oh my goodness. Awesome. So please join Tara's summit and please join mine. We'll include the links in the show notes for sure. Does that conclude our episode today, Tara? Our coffee chat at 4 p.m. in the afternoon? Yeah. Actually, it's 5 now at the time of this recording.
It's time for dinner chats now.
I'm still drinking my coffee, but I have to go bake bacon now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was amazing. And I'm excited. I love summits and I want to see more created. So
I know. So if you have any questions about hosting your own summit or just come and tell us if we inspired you to host your own summit or to be a speaker in a summit or be a guest on podcast, whatever that looks like for you. Come and find us and let us know. We want to hear from you.
Yay. And we will talk to you next month for our next coffee chat episode.
Yeah, we haven't decided what it's going to be about. Oh, yes, we have. Okay. I think we have, but stay tuned. Amazing. So thanks for listening and we'll catch you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.